times on my show. Could you please invite me on the side of your table, and I will invite you to the side of my table, so we could share perspective on top of just arguing about being right or wrong. It's nothing about being right or wrong. Is the pursuit of the truth, of the happiness. For me, it's secondary to being fulfilled and enjoying life.
And enjoying life as social beings with each other, for each other, doing things together and experiencing our shared humanity. Like that basic stuff, like music, art, love, dance, the play, sport, all these things that have zero to do with the policy making discourse. I think when you started talking about that, the experience in the bar, and I'm saying also the experience in social media, where do these loud conversations happen now? That at least where I'm aware of it, where they happen now, it's like you see these videos of the congressional hearings, or you see the school board hearings, and people coming up to the microphone and yelling at the school board and making their case. You did this, you did that. You're banning these books. You're not banning these books. You're letting biological males into the locker rooms, the females, blah blah blah. So people come up to say their piece, and then we've given, we as the school board or the local municipal government have given a place to share your piece, right? And then you say, screw it, fuck it, I don't care. Maybe you embarrassed me a little bit, but I still have the power here. So that, and in Congress, and I've heard this too. So you have the congressional blowhards that they get, and they grill the people like I ask you this, say yes or no. Did you say this in public, and why did you say that? And that it's performance, right? So that the school board people, that you go to the school board, it's performance. It's congressional hearings, it's performance. But you know what? The real, I believe, and this is my belief, you don't have to agree, whatever. The belief is that where the value proposition for the dangerous conversations to happen in space is far before that. It's not the performance, it's in the practice. It's in the practice and the preparation and the rehearsal. What's meant by that, and that's the music metaphor. What that means is that you and I are figuring out the song that we play together, and we have a groove together. But then there's got to be a place where people can get together, where it's, I'm not at work, I'm not in church, I'm not in public, I'm not performing for somebody else. I am with the people I care about and the people that they care about that I may know or may not, that we come together and expose our biases, expose maybe some prejudices, and expose our ignorance, and be vulnerable and embrace our ignorance, because none of us as one know more than all of us together. And that as we come more together, then the conversation, and we have movements around making meaningful progress for our mutual benefit.
But can I ask you a question that I ask to anyone that's watching it as well, and they could put it in the comment below their own answer? I would love to read that, waiting for my next plane. The question goes like this. You talked about vulnerability. What about authenticity? What about just being? We talk about music and riffing. I won't play it right now because I prefer to have a conversation with you, but there's a great sound that sometimes saved my life. Literally saved my life. It's very popular kind of trance music called Just Be. The lyric of it, because a lot of people say, oh, trance and techno music from those DJs in the club, they couldn't understand the end depth of the things. But right now we are surrendering. I don't know if you saw the movement of music, especially music with lyrics. Someone did a great job of taking the 1940s, 50s, 60s, and the decaying of the word that is spoken in the song. And now we see sometimes like maybe a real fringe of them writing. They dare to write about love, peace, and something positive, or something less melancholic if they do on the romantic stuff. But the Just Be song, It's of course it's a trance clubbing song in the background, but
Are
they
we
have the
going to get
voices that
copyright? If you play it, will we get claimed?
maybe.
Okay,
So,
that's all right.
but that's maybe people about. I'll send you a link, and we could put it in the description for
Yeah.
people because and right now because the time for me to search it, I was not prepared. But
Yeah.
that song is not my all-time favorite song, but it's certainly part of my world of something that suit me to remember me just to be. And yeah, because we are struggle about you said about performance, and when I was pre-teen to my teenage year, I had a great friend of mine. And by the way, that's the funny thing because one of my best friend was 34 springs older than me. He was kind of he was not a mentor, but he was. He was not a coach, but he was. He was not my father, but he was. He was a great, great, great buddy. And by the way, even if we have 34 years difference, he was older than me. We never speak with one another and ages and whatever. He was sharing his experience for a man born in 1940 and myself and most of my friends are way older than me, and probably it's because of my grandfather was so old. I don't know, and I love so. But the thing is, and probably age doesn't have nothing to do about this. That's the thing. So that's why I love this relationship I had with him, and but I learned a lot, and he learned also a lot from me. That's the funny thing because we talk about vulnerability and that's the thing. He says like I learned so much with young people, and I'm at that stage right now. When I go to my lab in Tulum with all those 20 years old entrepreneur and software developers and blockchainer and stuff like this, I learn a lot even in Scrum, even in DevOps. They didn't go through everything I went in the last 20 some years of having certification and blah blah blah, and they get it a lot more than any other LinkedIn out people who spread fucking bullshit on their post. Just blah 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 blah. I know it better. Scrum is this. Kanban is this. No, these young entrepreneurs, they don't fucking care about it, Ryan. They just want to have a nice experience working, provide a nice experience to us using their apps or their wallet or whatever they produce, and that's it. They want happiness, and they understand that happiness is not a mean; it's an effect of being fulfilled, of achieving something, of winning even if you lose, because when you lose you know that you're going to learn something, so you win. So I love the spirit of this new generation, and most of them are not from the Western country. So that's the thing. So the future may lies, and people who had another perspective than ours, they didn't have life served to them in a silver plateau, and they get it more. They get it more. They get the thing. It's just common sense and natural way flow of thing. Like so, and they will come to me. Oh, could you at least help us bringing some structure into what we do naturally? Even they saw me. I'm really amazed that they get to build Scrum team without a Scrum master. And it's more efficient. It's more efficient. It's more pro-efficient than any Scrum team that I see even in Boston. If you see my in between the lines, what I'm telling. So even from the creator of Scrum, I think they get it better even from the creator of Scrum, because it's not about putting a name on a system, on a thing. And I'm guilty of it too with my DARE REAL Agile podcast. Sometimes I'm just do I do it by some kind of cognitive dissonance in my mind? Maybe. I don't know. I'm so an imperfect being. And talking about vulnerability, have you read that book?
I have not. I know Lencioni's stuff, but yeah.
I know it's a bit mainstream and kind of kitsch, whatever, but really, I was reluctant first when some colleagues talked to me about it. I read it. It's a very nice tale. And I believe that anyone who pretends to be a consultant, a freelancer especially, that want to consult an enterprise and change the life of those people, that's a nice read, because it shows you that because that's something that's coming up in this Friday show with me reading Mike Beadle's statement of the agile movement is not really agile, and he explained why. And one of his 5 points, I don't know if you read that Medium article of Mike Beadle. Did you?
I don't think I have yet.
Okay, so you'll be able to have it audiobook with me now, type of thing. And but one of his point was about that. Was about the fact that how come people from the external of our team or the exterior of our enterprise come and impose an agile transformation, and then they left after that. And they don't even want to get naked. And
exactly.
And
so I have to come in and say that getting naked it's much more for, again, you say, for the consultants, for the freelancers, for the people who are being with the teams, with the developers. But in the way that our organizations have been structured now, as if you only view from the hierarchy and the shareholder value bit, that these folks have no interest. Like you're saying, they have no interest in being naked. And if they did, right? And if they did, and they said, we don't know. I don't know the answers to the questions. But you know who does? We know. And we know, being we and the customers and the people who we are serving, that, and who knows more about those people out there than the people who are building products for them and delivering to them. So
not just product, anything the raison d'etre of your enterprise, of
product or service, or who delivering something of value to somebody in the world who's willing to pay for it with their attention or dollars or euro or whatever. And so that nakedness, and if that nakedness happens at the periphery of the organization, beautiful. But if it doesn't happen up here, right, at the top, and if you believe there is a top, and if you've structured to where there's a top, then as much beauty as you create in the real periphery, in the value creation place, and it's sad to say it, that if they don't let go, if the folks, and they are human beings, okay, so the folks who top manage, they are humans too, right? They have incentives. They've learned the way they're going to navigate the world, and they have learned, they have gained status and money and all those things that, and then, oh, I'm a benevolent, the benevolent dictator up at the top. But wow. The question becomes, and this is getting back to getting naked. If only there were, if the folks who might possibly believe that it has value to say, I'm gonna dial down my status seeking and share my authority and the distributed decision rights with those of you who I trust, who I'm paying right? The market really pays them. The market pays everybody. But so you and I we can get naked. We can get naked with each other. We're talking about this. That what are those safe spaces that we can invite the folks who are in the halls of power into, so that they can become vulnerable, so that they can share their ignorance and claim that ignorance and be proud of that. I am ignorant, but I am ignorant and curious. I'm ignorant and curious and willing to trust and give my love. Say the word love. Can they say the word love? I love
peace.
Peace, love, and music, man. Yeah. And to have, again, I believe that it's possible that this kind of change, these loving organizations, that we can be with each other, for each other. And but how do we?
Let me diverge a little bit here. I want to be diverging here. And that come to something that I need to learn. And I hope I'll be able to participate later on something about the beta stuff. And I know I've been suggested to read a nice article from Niels, and I will try to do it as soon as possible. It was longer than I thought on a Medium thing, so that's why I didn't like do my arm. So it's on my list for sure. But I like the way the decentralization for me, the supra federation, because the thing is, my device that I had since my high school when I was a high school president, and we built that devices ensemble and différent, together and different. Because you often, and I love it from you, like you try to bring people together in a space and everything, and it's very very an amazing work that you do about it, and I think it's even above the agile movement or whatever we call ourselves these days, and for me to try to understand this beta enterprise. Or the beta organization, you have to go back to this desire of freedom of just being, creating, javing, flowing, and everything. And did you know that some statistic for the OECD country, which is our countries, Europe, South Korean, and Japan, the number of freelancer has multiplied in the last 30 years. Like by 410%. So it's telling you, and then of course after this crisis that we went through the last 3 years, it's even like bigger. And what I see is this is the new entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is not the one now who built a multi-billion-dollar company. No, they just want to be free, and the only thing they will have as a boss is a client. And it's something like, and it's an ephemeral type of thing. It's and I think this is because the organization, the Alpha organization, and correct me if I'm wrong, because these organizations didn't change their structure despite the fact that they have to go through digital transformation, some kind of social or environmental transformation pushed by the VUCA of this world, and now of course the famous or unfamous and famous agile transformation, because agile is not, it should not be transformed, it should be values and principle that you will transform into patterns to help you actually make some greatness into your enterprise. This is why, and what we're speaking about today is that if someone asks me again, why does agile transformation fail? It's because that doesn't exist at the first place. It's not an agile transformation. It's a will from, as you mentioned, those top and the bottom to have a conversation together, without having a union doing the middleman, or without having a consultant doing the middleman. So it's kind of, for me, the first job of a consultant, like the subtitle does it here, about shedding the 3 fears that sabotage client loyalty. So this is for a consultant. But again, why you, Ryan, as the CEO of Purple Squirrel, you will need to hire me as a consultant to bring your team to talk with you. Because that's the essence of, I know I make it very simplistic, but if you look at it, the McKinsey of this world, the Accenture of this world, the too big to fail, the big four, and the audit financial, P&W and everything, they exist because I'm assuming, because you'll teach me with Niels, that the Alpha organization didn't get it. They didn't have the power themselves to bring the conversation into a space. So they need external firm, external consultant to do so. It's just an hypothesis that I'm putting out there right now today, because I don't know, and I might study it because I'm writing a book right now on this above organizational structure chain that goes to anyway. So, and I'm thinking of it, and
again, but what's the hierarchy? And again, people could call it the patriarchy. Whatever business structure has
The myth
come
of male
in.
power, huh? You have to read the myth
well,
of white male power. Yes.
But again, if you have a conversation at that level of that abstraction, like if you take the absolute top earner and bottom earner and the two defined genders for birth certificate, whatever it is, not taking gender identity out of it. I don't. Because my kid identifies non-binary. So, but I'm saying, but the idea of a hierarchy, what's the purpose of it? The purpose of it is to enforce compliance towards a set of bureaucratic rules, right?
And you asked me to help you being more agile. It won't work. That's why it's failing.
Right. That to have agility to at least maybe there has been an agile trend. I don't know, when did that word even begin? When did that happen? What was the first project that was? Let's
ask Jim I. Smith on Friday or Jeff Shutterland next time. I've got a video or Jeff talked about it. They spent one day to came up with that word. And as I told you last time we spoke on my show, it could have been jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Just to counter to classical project management, it could have been jazz product evolution or something like this. Mike Beadle taught me that story, and I think Jim I. Smith, if you go to the agilemanifesto.org, don't just read the 4 values and the 12 principles. There's so much other things.
Jim's story is Jim's history. The history for me that kind of sparked my belief in there's really something underneath. There's something that has not been said with 4 and the 12, and that Jim is really getting close to it.
And they wanted to solve their problem of arguing and being very bad between each other. So that was also a gathering of, and there was a lot of other people who were invited. They couldn't make it because it could have been more than 17 guys. So at the end of the day, after months and months of discussion on news group back then, because there were no social media, but there were these MARC,
Usenet and Merck, and
exactly.
All that stuff,
So it started like this, and actually I was there witnessing it myself on the Undernet network. Seeing the argument of these guys, and it was all about the method. It's exactly what's happening right now on Linked Out, but with a more deep sense of wanting a real solution that came to this weekend at Snowbird, Utah, to ski together, and actually the 4 values were written in a coffee break where half of the team were skiing, and then. When the other who wrote the value went out to take a break, the other guys wrote the principle to reinforce those values. And only so that's why I call it the morning value and the afternoon principles. And here you have it. Period. And they wanted to make noise, but this 2001 year been hijacked by what? I don't want to go into detail because I know it could be emotional for people, but this famous 9/11.
9/11, yeah.
So that all the noise were into kind of silent after that. So everything that happened before 9/11, because if you look at 2001 on the some kind of encyclopedia, I'm not talking about Wikipedia, but there were a lot of greatness. It was the first year of the millennium. Could you imagine that? So a lot of people were going out about this innovation, that, and this Agile Manifesto was actually something that they were going on, because I was actually involved in Lean and Scrum since 97, 98. And so I saw this ramping up to this moment where they needed to make noise. And they did kind of noise, but it was very like secular into this group of engineer and people asking marketing team, could we have a conversation? Again, creating a space to have a conversation and together,
customer collaboration over contracts.
But I mean, like, don't even go in the verse of this Bible. it's really just a common sense thing. Like, and that's why the other day, I remember one day when I facilitated one of my Scrum beer gathering of as a user group, and there was that girl who is a change. How do they call it? OCM. It's organizational change management. So she is a change, whatever, consultant, whatever. the thing they do. And you know that those, if you as a consultant go to an organization that they have a strong ECM, enterprise change management department within the HR, human resources, I discussed that term, but so they will compete to your agile consultancy or to your, because agile, it's about bringing something in the culture foundation and the organization design. And if you take agile away from those 17 guys who were mostly engineer and creator of development framework, software development framework, sorry. So that was the thing. But they needed, and you know, before the Agile Manifesto, myself as a UX and CX designer, I did struggle to see the IT people bashing about the marketing people or the creative. And it was this left and right brain without the consciousness. So I said to myself, when I signed the Agile Manifesto, because I was an early adopter of this, of course, I was really in the moment back in 2001. Because in 2001, you see the poster behind me, I want to believe.
Yeah.
The two big positive event was this Agile Manifesto for our field of value creation and customer experience and everything. And that was also the disclosure project with Dr. Gear. And yeah, I know you said because 9/11 happened, so we kind of forget the Agile Manifesto because they did. I don't know. I don't remember if they did a press conference. These guys, I don't think so. So that's the thing. Their lack of communication because you had mostly left brainer together talking about something right brainer. But hold on. There's a lot of people like Alistair Cockburn, Martin Fowler. He was a smart talk guy. And this guy, Mike Beadle, my daddy, they were more like that because you know Mike play a lot of music, so there were a lot of creator too. Don't get me wrong, but unfortunately, the paradigm behind it is, and I know an author that a lot of people don't want me to cite, but I don't care. David Icke from England, who make extensive research. He's not just a conspiracy bomber. He's also a brainy human being like any one of us, trying to make a difference in this world experience without imposing it. So here's the thing. So let me ask you that question that I forget to ask. Like, why is it so important for us as social being, if we are a social being, because I don't know, to always gather together, the sense of being together, and more we try to do this togetherness, which is, I think it's important, yes, but sometimes the individuality of our uniqueness in this universe seems to have a counterbalance of this desire to be in togetherness. Is it like a paradox of our existence in this world, in this dimension? This is why maybe we always argue and maybe every one of us is a universe. And this is why if we could understand the principle of subsumption in physics, we might ease our brainwashing, we might ease our programming, we might ease this dichotomy of ensemble with uniqueness, and we'll be in more harmony without forcing it. Because now what I see is, if someone is expressing too much of his uniqueness, we call them neurodivergent, we call them divergent, we call them fringe. The fringe minority.
They're kooks.
Yes. Remember our prime minister last winter? These truckers are a fringe minority, but they rise in 3 days, $3 million.
They're extremists.
Oh yeah, extremists. How come? And anyways, I think you quote Frank Zappa sometimes, and I don't remember exactly the thing, but yeah. And so there's so much others like yeah. So that's the question. So please in the comment, like participate with us. Tell us in the comment what is your way, because for me that's the thing. Subsumption is, I think, is the perfect. When you look at the atom, when we study in physics,
I need you to explain subsumption for me. I keep seeing it in what you're saying. Yeah. I probably can't do that in 25 minutes or so, but how is that? Yeah, the basic, just to help
The
me
basic.
get our
When I
language.
see when I see some of our colleagues in organization change management, they call it like this. Try to figure out network of influence or network of power exchange or decision making and everything. So everything that we do with Mizik and Niels and all of these people, it's great. It's great. But people like Beadle and I who study in physics, we are like this, like a cat smile. Because we know that, oh, and by the way, because I brought a lot of books just to see my other side.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
it's again in French. It's Uber Reeves. For those,
Hmm.
it's probably one of the most preeminent physicists.
Yeah, okay. Malicon. Okay.
Malicon, it's a very nice village in southeast France, where he's retreating. He's doing his retirement now, and it's called here in French. It's a reflection of nature observer. It's my free translation, and in that book, it looks like these guys was probably the most vulgarizator, better than Tyson. What's his name again? DeGrasse Tyson, and better than
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, these guys actually is in 3 language. By the way, he was at mini university. But the amazing thing is by observing nature, and whether you know or not substantiation, you realize this constant geometry, this constant coding, and he was a pioneer of this what we may call seeing the world with binary and non-binary equation. And a lot of people talk about Fibonacci, but Fibonacci is only a grain of salt in the way we could actually decode nature and the nature of thing. And in an archaic revival, if I tell you that it's speculation on psychedelic, mushrooms, the Amazon, virtual reality, UFOs, evolution, shamanism and satanism, the rebirth of the goddess, and the end of history.
That book ought to be a lot thicker than the one that you're showing me.
Yeah. And Tom Robbins, after reading that book of Terence McKenna, he says like it's a cyclone of unorthodox ideas capable of lifting almost any brain out of the cognitive Kansas. Reference to Alice in Wonderland, probably. What I'm saying here is substantiation. It's something very simple. In our bachelor in physics, it's the first thing that we start to study because it's the atom reaction. Okay, and please, other physicists out there, correct me because I'm a dropout. I'm not complete. I'm an incomplete being in that. I just did my master. I'm not a PhD, but for us, I'm telling you the truth. The best Scrum coach, those who try to gather team together, are those with a background in chemistry or especially physics at some level. Doesn't have to be a PhD like Beadle or a master like me. But the thing is, substantiation is really like when you look the interrelation, interrelation of the atom with all of the other components that, of course, after research and empirical process, we discover new element. Like right now with the Harder Collider, we could see even smaller particle. We might have identified what we call the God particle or the big sin. So all of this, could be represented when we look at it in telescope and microscope, because that's the funny thing. It's quantum physics and cosmology coming together again with their two extremes. So like the top down, top bottom up coming together to make a change in this organization. And so that's why if you don't understand that substantiation element, which have to be empirical, because we might say substantiation is defined by this interrelation now, but if new element is discovered, you should include them and grow with it and so on. So if you apply this physics method into the human organizational structure, you will realize that what you need it's on or non-centralized kind of organization design. You need something, and I will say in between you could like configure your communication or your interrelation of management within something between a decentralized model. I don't remember the author of these, or a distributed model. Because a substantial map of the atom with all the other elements will look like any graph that you guys came up with, you know. There was a guy, I love what he did. He started being three people, it's a triangle, and then you go on to this, making this flower of life, you know. This flower of life, which is the most complex. And by the way, the astrophysicists discover it's a real pattern that exists, and everything. This and the spiral. Did you know that our solar system, it's alleged not to go in circle, but in spiral?
It's
because our sun is doing this, moving also around the galaxy. And most of the galaxies, by the way, that we could observe are mostly spiral.
Because they go, yes.
Because the center of the galaxy, it's alleged to be a kind of either a big nebula that creates suns and stars, or like actually I make a mistake because the sun is a star, but anyways, and or it could be also some galaxy could have not a nebula in the center but a black hole. So that's why it's going around. So maybe one day our great children will be sucked up by this black hole of ours, because the Milky Way it's supposed to have a black hole instead of a nebula.
So, then if again, talking about whether we are going to be around when the planet gets sucked into the black hole is a whole different thing. But so substantiation, I'm hearing some resonance with certainly with the Beta Codex around that. There is so we have the org physics idea in terms of there being a rule hierarchy, a social network, and a value creation structure, right? All those things. And what is the commonality about what are the physics of that? That to me is what in the systems thinking we're talking about, and this is Akoff and his progeny around that. Really, we're talking about the relationships. What are the relationships?
But that's
between the engine, that's where. That is what deserves the observation and the intervention, if you make it. In that, how do we interact together in this again? So there's physics, org physics, complexity.
If I may, it's look complex, but actually it's really simple. So that's the problem. It seems that as a lazy monkey, which is the human being, or an evolutive spermatozoid, we seems to have the tendency of complicated thing that in front of us, it's very freaking simple. What do you see on that picture?
I just see I see plants on water.
Plants on water. So why some of us will try to define it so precisely that at the end of the day, it's probably a lettuce dropped by whatever. And I mean, that's again perspective. It's a perspective. So I'm not saying like, and again, remember, substantiation is observed also within the empirical glasses, which mean that in physics, we learn that there's a law of nature and the law of cosmos. A lot of people don't like to talk about it because they said, oh, it's not really scientific because you say this is it. I mean, like, yeah, but at the end of the day, we observe this, what we call the Nineveh constants. The Nineveh constants is something that since the Arabic people back maybe 3,000-4,000 years even go up to Sumerian. And this is not esoteric or occult. It's real fracking science. These guys were the father of these laws that they observe. You observe nature, you decode it, you see it. And of course, explaining it with our mind, our ilic state or our psychic state, this is where I think we start complicating the thing. But and when we go into these social or cultural thing, because remember, my master Terence McKenna says culture is the enemy of imagination, therefore it's the enemy of creativity and innovation. Because culture, it's something that will do this imposition of everything, that will put the power structure over the real power of will.
So I want to make sure that there's making a distinction between societal culture. What are the institutions?
Any culture, any
Well,
fracking culture, the culture of a society, because culture is nothing to do with ethnicity. And I probably will shock people, but my mother raised me like this. Reading Martin Luther King make me observing it like this. There's no races. There's no race. There's only one human race. We are not a species, for God's sake. The species is Homo sapiens sapiens. Last time I checked, everyone on this planet who are human are Homo sapiens sapiens. So the pigmentation after that, or your sex, or your gender, all of these divided thing to make us not together.
The invention of the race was an invented concept, right?
It was an invented concept to give permission to break one of the 10 laws of God, if you believe in God or whatever, to not kill each other. So now we could kill each other because there's another race. And and if you and I could be in a spaceship that go back in time, I will be eager to see if the Homo sapien was trying to kill the sapiens sapiens that was evolving, and even the Neanderthal. And if you look at your feet, you could see your genetic roots. If you were from a branch of Neanderthal, Australopithec, or Homo sapiens, because they live together. But who survive, and that substantiation again, were those who were more agile. Well,
and this is, I think this also leads to, I forget the conversation was the idea of survival of the fittest, and that some folks misinterpreting Darwin about that. What does fitness mean? What do we mean by fitness? Like fitness.
Okay, sorry.
that Homo sapiens sapiens was obviously fit for the future. Right? And what was it about Homo sapiens sapiens that made it fit for the future? I think he said that they were adaptable, and that they were able to move faster than the dinosaurs, or figure out that they could. Well, who knows about dinosaurs, right?
Actually, dinosaurs were more squirrel. More about the size of a squirrel through an elephant. So
I think what we're talking about is what do our interactions need to become so that we as a species in organizations of organizations and systems of societies, what do we need to become so that we are more fit for the future that is ahead of us?
Is that a question to all of us? I hope it's a question to all of us.
It is, absolutely.
Because you and I won't solve that thing. But me, the first thing my intuition tell me to contribute and co-create to this answer with this. Could we calm our spirit? And just embrace that it's a very nice setting of water where this gentleman, after years and years of research in atomic and stuff, just go to relax and hear the sound of the birds and the wind and stuff like this. So, a lot of people talked about yoga and meditation in our Western world. And I was speaking with one of my great partner in India. He said, "You don't know shit about yoga." So it's returned to my DARE Real Agile. Why did I call it DARE Real Agile? It's because I care so much of the authenticity and the real McCoy of things. And everything, not just in Agile. And even though in Agile, I'm a kind of a bastard in that, because I'm more and more, I care because I care, I dare. But at the end of the day, if the collective of us and the togetherness don't care, because part of us want to make money. That's what Martin Fowler called the Agile Industrial Complex. And it's a system created just to generate revenue using that thing. Okay. And then there's the others who just want to be right and try to create new concept and using a new organization chart. And say, okay, so be my guest. And there's other like me who just don't give a shit anymore, who just want to make our client happy and make sure that we don't sabotage the loyalty that they have with us. Because at the end of the day, if we like to solve the imposition as consultant, and even for permanent change manager or whatever the title you could have, project manager, product developer, or whatever. Could you fracking listen to Ryan, who is hiring you? And then after, maybe if you listen to him and you show him not just empathy and compassion, but that you understand, transforming the you of the VUCA, uncertainty and ambiguity, into understanding and real agility of, because after that, of course, the consultant or any SME, the smart, what is it again, SME? Subject matter expert.
Subject matter expert, yeah.
So, but we have to listen first when we are bringing to a team or a space or whatever. Okay, so let's listen to the vision of Ryan and what he will ask us to solve as a problem. And then after, let's make an agreement and a boundary management of, okay, now, Ryan, I did listen to you. You said that I understood you correctly. Now, is it the time for you now to see and try something that I will suggest to you? Do you know a lot of consultant that does that? In his book, he says, like, that was back in 2003, I think. He said, according to his, I think, I'm sorry. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I remember it was early 2000 or...
He has written a lot of books after the 5 dysfunctions. That's for darn sure.
Okay, it's 2010, republished in 2010, but republished. So I don't know. Anyways, the thing is, what I'm trying to say here is, whether you have a good intention or not, I don't know, and it's all the play. So you talk about music ensemble or a play. So it's all a play, but at the end of the day, because you see, if you are being authentic in this world of business, especially, you will be called a fringe. And now they love to put some word like neurodivergent. I know I did the show in French, but my colleague...
Alt-right, fascist, racist, whatever.
Oh, yeah, but no, I don't want to go there. I just go to the business world where you came up with a proposition of something, a way to do, and there's always a guy is going to smoke at the bottom of the building with you having your espresso, and he will tap on your shoulder like, oh, Fredo, hey, come on. Just don't waste your time. It's like, take the money and do this, So that's also this monkey laziness of ours.
So you don't care. Yeah, there's...
not me. I'm not talking about me, but there's a lot of...
The guy says, Fredo, don't care. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about that. Just do this, and you get paid, and you'll enjoy your boat this weekend, That's the kind of mentality.
Sell your soul.
And this is very spread. And it's the same thing like what we call a stolen time from consultancy. We talk about loyalty and getting naked. So that's for me, until this way of thinking didn't change. And by the way, RFK yesterday talking about peace and diplomacy, quoting his uncle. Did I tell you that I cry? He made me cry yesterday. Because it's the obvious fucking thing. We don't pay attention to each other anymore. We don't engage in real, authentic, naked conversation anymore. We are so proud. We are so narcissistic. We are so Machiavellic. And me, that this, I don't know, correct my English again, the insufficient or the, I'm so sufficient now. I'm
self-sufficient.
I'm self-sufficient. So many of our colleagues, not just in Agile, but in everything we do about business, they are so self-sufficient and, I work a lot writing that book and that theorem, so it must work. No, it didn't. Because if you have the empirical process, you could have a great idea. It's nice on book. But when you try to apply it, and you want to apply it by the book, prescribe instead of describe, you fail. And that's why after you go on LinkedIn, linked out, Scrum sucks, Kanban is a piece of shit, the DevOps doesn't work, and it's because of the people. No, it's not because of the people. It's because of you trying to impose a prescribed perspective, understanding of what you read and what you've learned. So I'm giving you tips to answer your question, why is not working, and why is like... and it's going to be always, it's like the mafia. You could kill Godfather. There's another one, or the snake. You cut the head of a snake. It's
The
always
Hydra.
the Hydra,
The
exactly.
Hydra.
Yeah. So that's why for me, I'm laughing now because we will never solve it. And even with those people who work and to manipulate our brain, even physically, with neural links, metaverse, augmented reality, all that shit. For me, I was always an innovator and early adopter. I was always the first among my colleagues and friends to use a new piece of technology or even to try a new idea. This is why I was Agile before the Agile Manifesto at some point, because it's common sense. It's you talk about Darwin, but Darwin is more like Dean Lincolnwell of this movement of evolution. Even if he's the creator, yeah,
it's the thing about Darwin. And again, this is take the time, and this is I think a whole theme here. If you take the time to observe and seek to understand from a point of curiosity and grace and humility, that what part of this, what's happening, what is actually happening now, how do we, and again, I kind of don't want to even say this, how do we make sense of it, but how do we seek to understand,
and which sense,
in which sense, and what do we see,
I'm
what
sorry,
do we
I know
hear, what do we feel?
it could be nasty sometimes.
No, but the idea of a human system in collective action, with each individual sovereign entity agreeing with one another on how might we move forward, what is our process to make sense of what is ahead of us and what is being asked of us by the people we care about. The reason we're in business in the first place is to produce something of value for someone in the world, in a place in the world that we care about. And that's the whole infinite game of part of this. So.
Yes, it is. It's infinite because we are in an infinite reality. But it seems that we had forget. I didn't bring that book from Graham Hancock, but we are amnesic. We forget when we incarnated.
Amnesiac, yeah.
And it's kind of crazy. And to do a segue of the story and the place around the world, my fiance was from the great island of Madagascar, and the Malgache. I think in English we said the Gassi culture, not Malgache. Correct me. And the common guys, I don't know, because when you speak again multiple language, anyway. So the Gassi thing, yeah, it's a they don't see there's no death for them. You don't die. That's one thing, and there's a beautiful story they call the Blue Hill story. Have you heard about the Blue Hill story of the island?
Blue Hill? Blue Hill? No, I've not.
Because they have a hill somewhere near Antananarivo, which is the capital of this great island, this great country. And a lot of young people they claim it's not a high mountain, but it's a hill. So, but they go there. It's blue because of one of the tree that produce something. It make it blue. And sometimes when it's their fall, for whatever fall, it's becoming purple, so you love it. And but that Blue Hill story is very mythical of their passage. So that's why I said young girls and boy, they will go and they have a beautiful view of the valley of Antananarivo below and stuff like this. And their story that one day, and one of the ethnicity of the island, because it's a real complete mixed island. We have people from Polynesia, from India, from China and everything, and also from Africa. But they don't know exactly who were the first to set foot on this island. And that's why they have mythical type of things. And the Emenara was the dominant culture. You see, culture again, not race. That actually kind of imposes his monarchy and stuff like this before. And you know what? This part of Africa, because it's part of Africa, even if it's a big island, it's the last one who've been conquered by the European. Nobody was able to conquer it because this island with its hills, it's so abrupt. It's so it's like putting Arizona into the middle of the Indian Ocean. And so try to conquer. So, and the people were and this Emenara people were very good warriors and stuff like this. So
and they had the high ground.
Exactly. So you have the high ground. So that's why nobody, I'm telling you, nobody except the French in 1896, really late in this colonization, 1896, because the queen of the Emenara fall in love with the architect that was building his castle, her castle. So anyway, short story short, the Blue Hill story, it's about claiming it, being at the top and seeing this light, this light from the sun that probably brought the Emenara on the island. And try to then evolve. But because you're not anymore in this light and sky, and you have darkness because the earth, and they were saying the island was turning around the sun, by the way. It was not the earth, because for them it was only the island, right? Back in the, and so that mythology tell us, so when we incarnate, and by the way, when they die, they become this Lemurian chimpanzee or type of being. So that's why they have a most respect for this, because when they see a Lemurian, they say these are our ancestor, because this is why they go before maybe going back to the light of this Blue Hill. So wow. And it's
I have to.
I know I'm crazy with my story. What is crazy about riffing and agility?
No, but this is very, and I think this is very a curious place for us to land today. And then when we pick up, who knows where we'll pick up again, either on your show or here. But what can we learn from the Blue Hills of Madagascar that informs us about how we might be into the future? And I think one of those, the idea that it took a long time to impose, colonial rule over Madagascar. Again, I haven't heard the story, but what I'm thinking and to learn about that is that how do you say no? That it's important. It's important to resist. It's important to question, and it's important to have space for that. And again, this is not the Madagascar. I don't know the Gaussian.
No, but that's okay. I mean, I tell it because there's many myths and stories that it's about us incarnating and transforming all the way physically, but we forget this light that we are part. So that was the that's why I brought it up after what you were saying, and to as you said, to land, because we have a time concept. It's a movement in space, by the way. Time doesn't exist. It's the fourth dimension illusion to prevent us to be in the fifth dimension. And this is not goosey boofy esotericism. We've learned it in our bachelor and master in physics. Time doesn't exist, guy. It's the fourth dimension that you were looking for.
So whenever you watch this, it will be now for you, and as it is now for us. And you want to play us out with a little trance music to risk getting us copyright claimed
to complete it, to conclude it.
Yeah. So how about this? So for those of you in the world beyond this space that we are in, thank you for the precious gift of your time and attention. And to you, Fredo, Alexandre, in Lakesh.
In Lakesh, Alaken. And I came up, I am being disturbed on this, and that's to be a topic of another discussion or a private discussion, because some of my Mayan friend came up with something that it's a lie. So I've been living in a lie of in Lakesh for maybe 30 years now.
Okay, so that's the key, to be continued.
You see, even something that it was very strong for me. It's not a salutation. That's what they told me. Be careful. It's not a salutation, and it's not the namaste of the Sanskrit. It's our thing, but so I have to get more explanation from my master in the Yucatan, and I'll come back to you. But
I will release from that. I will as I have borrowed it from you.
That's okay. Let's come. He told me, like, no worry, Fredo. You could still do it with your closest spirit. That's what he called. And you are one of my closest spirit, my friend. Even if we didn't meet in flesh and blood yet, but I mean, I thank you so much for being part of my journey. And that could be the sense of in Lakesh you want to teach me. It's a thank you also. So, but Alaken,
Yeah.